The Accidental Wizard, Part 6. You're going to like this bit. 10th of March. I'm experiencing an increasing amount of cynicism about my pictures, inversely proportional to my own enthusiasm and conviction. It's inevitable, I suppose, that it should happen. Present anyone with a stimulus or a proposition and they'll question it. Fair enough. I did. I do. Now, here's the thing. People who are naturally receptive and open look at my growing collection of photos of things which shouldn't be there, take it on board. The cynical, who are out of reach and shut down, just can't do this. They really can't, and it disturbs them that you fail to see why they can't. Trailing round with Diana Cooper and my wife to see commissioning editors about a proposal for a TV series on the subject of orbs is a very interesting experience for them. Very interesting experience. 30 of them say thanks, but no thanks. 30 commissioners all turned us down. We must be rubbish, right? We're offering something supported by pretty strong photographic evidence that claims to prove we're not alone, that angels exist, that there's an intelligence outside ours, that they're doing their best to reach out to us. And not one of them can find a slot in their packed schedules of fat farms, cookery fests and cop shows for a voice which carries the message so many people would like to hear. At least put it out there and let people think about the idea for themselves. But no, that can't happen. Broadcasters think we've got them where we want them. We don't want to disturb the hypnotic slumber. It might cause a revolution. They might not want to buy our advertisers' rubbish anymore. Everyone is at pains to be civil to us, not to be seen to laugh at these misguided nutters, i.e. us. Maybe they're worried about being turned into a frog or a tent peg. And they express the same viewpoint along the lines of, I'm personally very interested in this idea, but it doesn't fit with what we're looking at the moment. Of course not, how could it? It's only the most important truth you could even tell your audience. Very disappointing, very frustrating. 23rd of March. Scientist friends are suggesting I buy a stereoscopic camera which takes two slightly different images recorded at exactly the same moment. This apparently will prove that what we're photographing, oh yes, there are lots of us now it seems, is just dust. I'm not sure I understand this. We're dealing with a celestial intelligence which does what it likes, and having the arrogance to think we can decide when they appear to us instead of the other way round just isn't right. One cynic even says to me they can't be that clever if all they can do is appear as blobs of light, even if they are sometimes quite beautiful blobs. Really? I don't see you being able to appear in their domain in any shape or form, matey, so who's the clever one? This reminds me of the Roman soldiers taunting Jesus when he was said to be on the cross and dying. They challenged him to save himself if he was the Son of God. Apparently he did at the end of the movie, but not until he had died for our sins. I'm starting to feel sort of barroom punchy about this, as it's starting to annoy me. Bad dose of paradigm blindness. So, I have bought a new camera to use alongside my trusty Olympus, which I've been using to photograph pictures of orbs running into the hundreds. Well, just as well they don't seem to appear when I'm working with our expensive broadcast video cameras. The cameraman would kill me if there were little angels whizzing around in the pictures, and I'd be out of work. It's another digital camera, a Panasonic EX7. I take it out of the box and charge it up. We have a huge roof space on top of the house, and I've been up there tonight to road test the new camera. Almost the first picture I take with it records an orb in the corner of the shot the size of a frying pan. Oh no, another broken camera, and this one's brand new. Please excuse the sarcasm, but I've been getting that comment a lot and it's starting to get on my tits. 25th of April. An old school friend, Jay Stapley, is playing a gig tonight at my favourite pub, the Bull's Head in Barnes. It's an old place and I've found that it's always alive with orbs. They love music, and you often see lots at festivals on the dance floor at gigs. Jay used to sit next to me in English and play air guitar. He claims to have no recollection of this, but I can confirm he did. He would sing the guitar music you could hear in his head. I like listening to Jay, as he has a wealth of experience playing on tour with Pink Floyd and all sorts. I think he's slightly frightened of me. He launches into his set at the Bull's Head, and I start taking pictures, lots of orbs already. I'm getting more attuned to seeing them with my own eyes, or sensing where they are. There is a beautiful one floating around his head. I sense this is his musical connection to the divine. I've always felt that musicians draw their inspiration from a higher source. Mozart is the perfect example of this. His music was the music of God, downloaded through a sensitive musical genius. When Mozart was still in his early 20s, he was invited as a special guest to the Vatican to listen to a recital of Allegri's work, the Miserere. In those days, the Vatican commissioned a lot of private works which were forbidden to be performed outside the walls of Vatican City. The Miserere is possibly the most haunting choral work I've ever been exposed to. It's fiendishly complex and full of strange twists and turns in the arrangement of the voices. Mozart memorized the entire 12 minutes of the piece and wrote it down when he got home after hearing it once, and it got out into the world. That's astonishing. Jay is no Mozart, but he is a great little electric guitar player. He and I grew up on Jimi Hendrix, Albert King, Albert Lee, John Lee Hooker, Jimmy Isley, Duane Allman, Dickie Betts. Delicious. And there it is. The blue orb is drifting across the stage above Jay's head and is doing something I haven't seen before. It's actually attached to his head with tiny blue tendrils. It's connected to him. 21st of April. The angels float into me and hug me, which is comforting and sustaining. I'm humbled by the simplicity and purity of the love I feel. It comes out of nowhere. You can't show people what that looks like. It just is. Beautiful. I decide to again visit my holy place, Glastonbury, for comfort and possibly some insight. I don't know it yet, but I'm about to witness the most extraordinary thing on this visit. I stay at my regular landing spot, Mere Manor. 9th of September. It's a perfectly still, clear night on the tour. The moon is bright in the sky. I hadn't realised the date. The 9th of the 9th of the 9th, i.e. the 9th of September 2009. My life is about to change completely again. As I walk up the final few steps to the tour, I feel the presence of my druidic guide. I'm raising my vibrational level and opening my chakras, having grounded myself before starting the climb. My mum always coached me on the importance of grounding. It stops you from floating off untethered. It means you can get back into your body safely at the end of whatever it is you've been up to when you're channeling or even confronting the odd entity or demon. And they like to hop into you and hitch a ride if they can. Then you start getting ill or tired, depressed, or worse. Grounding, you know it makes sense. Angela Watkins taught me a good visualization of grounding. She says, imagine a blue line going out from your base chakra, i.e. your bum, down into the centre of the earth and winding around an anchor or pole so you're safely tied down. So there I am, lowering my blue line into the earth down below before starting the climb. My druid guide asked me to use my Tibetan singing bowl. I have this wonderful friend called Paul Wilkinson at Creative Earth, who has singing bowls and all manner of wonderful shamanic equipment. I got my bowl from him, as well as a Mongolian shamanic drum with a beautiful oak handle, and a Mongolian shamanic necklace made of yak's teeth. The necklace is exceedingly powerful, and we feel dates from around the same time as the bowl. The bowl dates back to the 17th century and is wonderful. It's thicker at the lip of the bowl than the base, which was a hard thing to do when casting a hand-beaten bowl. It makes the bowl resonate louder. It's made from an alloy of bronze, copper, tin and iron like a church bell, And you make it sing by running a wooden stick around its lip like you can with a wine glass. And your finger and the sound it makes is fascinating. It calls in spirit and raises the vibrational level. The monks would use it at prayers for the same reason. The way the sound oscillates changes from use to use and from day to day. My mum gave me a small example 20 years ago, and I didn't even know what it was then. The sound oscillates with a varying rhythm, or a varying frequency. Some people love it and it goes right through their pineal gland. Others hate it. I think your reaction is a little bit of a test of your own vibrational level. The higher it is, the better and more positively the individual seems to respond. I walk around the tour in a clockwise direction, and the bowl rings out its hypnotic call. Under the guidance of the druid, I perform a cleansing ceremony with my staff and ask for healing, mercy, and light, and knowing for everyone. I bang the stick on the flagstones and visualize a dark blue energy field being emitted from the base of the stick, out and away from the tour, around the world. I breathe in, my head bowed. I feel tired suddenly. The druid's gone. I feel alone. Then I don't. I can sense there's someone else there with me. She's standing in the shadows. I hope I haven't scared her. I thought I was alone. Well, I was. She hasn't been there that long, I feel. Now I can sense the doorway, the portal between the worlds opening. I feel the urge I've had since I was a child to project my own energy. I get my camera out. Something's going to happen. The air, unusually up here, is incredibly still. I breathe in and exhale slowly. I am walking towards the shadowy woman. I'm going to speak to her, but lots of things are happening at once. I'm experiencing a feeling that I can most accurately describe as when you're about to orgasm. You know you are, and it's too late to stop no matter what happens. Whoosh. This huge tongue of energy shoots out from my right hand, which is holding the staff, and flashes between us. Oops. I hear it. I feel it. It crackles and I feel instantly cold, like it's suddenly taken the heat in my body. By a wonderful fluke of filming, or by a wonderful fluke of timing, I've managed to photograph it. I can't remember pressing the button, but the angels have given me a bit of a hand. And there it is, committed to memory. A perfect blast of energy from one dimension to another. Sorry, the memory of this is making it difficult to speak. A perfect blast of energy from one dimension to another. The woman's startled face is captured in the picture. I just can't believe it. The chance of getting that picture are 1,000,000 to 1. Try launching a rocket horizontally, like a firework. Try launching that horizontally and take a picture of it with one frozen hand. After 700 attempts, give up. This is just incredible. I'm in shock. I didn't use a tripod or a long exposure or any tricks, and I didn't have a bloody big firework at my jumper. And it's not St. Elmo's fire or lightning. It came out of my hand. And I have the picture. This picture should be on every news channel around the world. Superstitious beliefs, real shock. Take that, Rupert Murdoch. If I'd just left it at the description, you might have thought, well, what deluded git, he was hallucinating. But I've got a picture of what happened. Angela Davis, another Angela, surprise, surprise, the lady in the picture, saw it happen too. And you can see the surprise on her face in the picture. Pictures. Empirical evidence. How amazing. Well, that would keep Richard Dawkins happy. Or not. And it's a certainty the angels helped with the picture, as it's an impossible shot to have got. And there's no way I could have done that twice, or even once, I suspect. Wow. I need to lie down. This is huge. 10th of September. On the way home, still reeling from the significance of what happened last night, I stopped by Avebury Stone Circle, which I immediately take a dislike to. It feels similar to Stonehenge, which to me means my sense it was created by Dracos or Druids in the thrall of this ancient race of controlling monsters. Stonehenge seems to have been constructed with an awareness of the same calendar as the Maya, with the long count, in that it's been calculated that the sun will rise plumb centre of the gap in the stones at the eastern end of the henge on December the 21st, 2012, when we're back in the universe where we were exactly 26,000 years ago. At the nearest point in the Milky Way to the black hole at its centre, this is actually true. And the light striking the Earth that day will have the centre of the Milky Way, will have left the centre of the Milky Way exactly 26,000 years ago. So the light illuminating us on that day will be the light from the stars, or suns, in the centre of the Milky Way, which left 26,000 years ago. Did you get that? I'll say that again. And the light striking the Earth that day will have left the centre of the Milky Way exactly 26,000 years ago. So the light illuminating us on that day, i.e. December the 21st, 2012, will be the light from the stars or suns in the centre of the Milky Way, which left 26,000 years ago. There's just something relentlessly cyclical in this. I walk into the stones at Avebury, which run incomplete, round about a mile-long circle. I call Angela Watkins and tell her where I am. I instinctively need her focus and energy for a few minutes. "Hello, darling," she trills. I love that woman. If I was dangling from a burning plane with one wing gone, I'd call her just to hear her say "hello, darling" one last time. I feel I need to perform a very strange repair on the place. The energy flowing along the ditch dug thousands of years ago around the outside of the stones is flowing in the wrong direction. It's anti-clockwise, and that's just not right. I plant my staff in the centre of the ditch and, feeling a little foolish like a modern King Canute trying to push back the tide, I command the energy in the other direction. My resolve is pathetically weak at first, but then I get pissed off and angry and start to turn into the Incredible Hulk of shamanism. I think I must have read too many Marvel comics when I was a kid. Someone doesn't like that I'm doing this, I sense, or tough. It takes all my energy and will to slow the rushing force fields and start to run in the opposite direction. I realise I'm talking out loud in that funny ancient language. It's working. I'm sure of it. It's as real as standing in a river and feeling the flow reverse. So I'm going to do something slightly weird now, and I'm going to show you what that language that I speak sounds like if I can. Because it goes something like this. Alas an chalen salaman. Kin sit olon kredit salayas alamchan. Jen si salayanon kik alaychen. Balasalan alachen delibman salih ichana dilasan. Alabas alichin matas asalinach. Kin sich alich en deles mineken. Sounds like that. It sounds like gobbledygook. And for several years I thought it was, but it's amazingly powerful and it does things. It changes energy, it changes the energy in people, and it shifts the energy in places and buildings. And it's amazingly powerful. And I'm constantly humbled by just how effective it is. And whenever I start to think that I'm nuts or deluded, which I do pretty much every day, I just get knocked back into line because of what happens in the result. It's extraordinary. So, back to Avebury. Job done. I climb back up to the stones and start walking to the car. A girl is coming towards me. She's carrying a camera. I immediately feel that she's a Draco in disguise, and she knows I'm aware of her. She's uncomfortable, as she knows that she's been spotted, and she's beginning to think about running. I try my best not to look sinister or threatening. We meet. I say hello and smile. She looks freaked out. When we pass, I can hear her steps as she starts to run. And when I turn round, she's gone. Disappeared in a flat field half a mile wide. Good trick. When I try to turn my computer on at home later, it's dead. I left it in the car at Avebury. It never works again, and I have to throw it away. It worked that morning in Glastonbury when I transferred the pictures from the previous night, but not now. So there was a great deal of energy flying around at Avebury. I don't think I want to go there again. 28th of September. Sometimes the angel will visit in numbers. I'm listening to Diana Cooper's meditation CD about 2012 and the opportunities for growth it'll bring. I'm not convinced about this. My sense is a really unpleasant time will be had by all. We're halfway there already as it is. A decade of some of the worst human tragedies I can remember. Oil and food prices are skyrocketing. China and Australia have had their worst droughts in living memory. China is building a $60 billion pipeline to carry water from the south to the northern provinces. Not what you're supposed to think about while trying to raise your vibrational level. Well, I suppose I'm unconsciously feeding the demons of negativity and making my own little contribution to our enslavement. Time to rise above the fear and blackness which resides in my own heart. Didn't used to be like that. What's changed? Why is there a big question mark in my head now? Is my own life, which quite frankly is slowly going down the shitter, tricking me into thinking something bad's going to happen? No, I don't think that's it. There's an urgency, a voice in my head imploring me to listen, to focus, to pay attention, like I should be to Diana's lovely lilting voice. She is calling in the angels, and a singing bowl is going in the background. And then something brushes my arm. I'm lying on my bed in the dark, and that couldn't have just happened. But there it is again. What feels like calico brushes my arm. And then I have the sense that maybe a dozen angels are silently gathering around me. No, not angels, the disciples. The disciples of Jesus Christ are in my bedroom. I apologise to them for being negative. That's the sort of thing you do in front of royalty. You panic and say the lamest things. They calm me, and I feel as if I'm lifting right off the bed. I'm frankly too frightened of what's happening to look. I remember my dad saying he felt this happen when my mum was giving him healing for his cancer. He was having chemo at the time, and the cancer was spreading, but it stopped and disappeared. Maybe it was the chemo. Maybe it was Mum. Who knows? Actually, I do. You know when the room is full of people, or you're on a bus or train, and you shut your eyes, and you know they're still there, even though you can't see them. That's what this is like. My heart fills with light and happiness, and the anxiety recedes. The disciples are leaving now, their job done, and it's as if a light has left the room, not gone out, but physically left. Diana does have an extraordinary connection, and her presence on the CD caused this visitation. When my wife and I go to listen to her speak in front of maybe 1,500 people, almost all of whom are female, the orbs are floating around above their heads. 8th of November. Angela Watkins has my wife and I go along to Barnes Spiritual Church for a session of inspirational speaking and mediumship. I've never seen her in action, so this should be interesting. The church is a beautiful, loving place to be. But amongst this warmth and love, by contrast, I can't help sensing that my wife is reluctant. She's happy enough to come along, but it isn't her passion, and I can tell that she would rather be somewhere else. But she loves me and wants to show willing. I realise how much I want her to really embrace what's happening to me and take it to her own heart. And then I get this picture of her as a happy little girl playing in the grand Italian palazzo where she grew up with her brother. There's something they're playing with from the other side, from the spirit world. Something greedy to have its own soul which it lacks. This is what poltergeists are. Entities without a soul. They will invade your soul and make you ill or die without conscious volition on their behalf. They're the most dangerous kind of invader. Their imaginary friend is stealing something from them without them realizing what's happening. They're too young and too trusting to know any better. It's stealing their childish spirit and covering its tracks by leaving layer upon layer of emotional blockage like a maze. Is that why she's so blocked? Why my angel looks at me blankly when I try to break through to her emotionally? Why she does her crying in secret? Why she's so closed? She will find the missing pieces eventually, but maybe not with me, not in this life. This possibility makes me suddenly so sad. I've become part of the problem for her, not the solution. The things she loves the most, she's learnt to put away as far as possible where they can't be hurt themselves or hurt her. But she won't ever leave me, will she? No, that could never, ever happen. I thought my healing energy would eventually heal her wounds, but it's not working, is it? She says she feels she's losing her own identity and dissolving into me. But I feel it was her spirit identity she lost when she was a child. The entity she and her brother used to play with may have stolen it, so I can hardly steal it again. She says I'm overpowering. I don't want to be. I must learn to wind in whatever it is I do, to control and calibrate whatever it is I have. I affect the mood of everyone around me, apparently. If I'm in a good period, everyone loves being around me. I make them laugh and feel good about themselves. I inspire them and encourage them to embrace ideas, theories, a brighter future for themselves. When I'm in my own personal hell, they say they can see black things swirling around me. Shadows flit across the floor and swirl around their hearts, turning them black. I look like a demon when I'm angry, and it feels as if the sky will burst open, or something along those lines. You know when I'm around, put it like that. My wife is starting to show signs of relationship fatigue. What were the good things about our relationship and now negatives? Apart from becoming increasingly psychic and wizardly, I'm still the same. Okay, that's major, but I want the same things I used to want. I love her like I used to. I want her there and to share everything like we always have. But now I'm apparently needy. And that's the thing. Women first want you to commit, to need them, then they don't. And need gets a diminution on the end. A little why turns their desire to change. A little why turns their desire to change you into the person you could and should be, to rearrange your furniture and your dress sense, into you becoming excess baggage for their journey through life and being needy, i.e., I don't want you to need me anymore, so get out of my life. But I am still convinced that would never happen to us. My wife is in it for the long haul. We've never even discussed the possibility of being apart. Difficult times. Back in Barnes Spiritual Church, orbs are floating above the people listening to Angela and the other speakers. I've started giving them names now, as the ones show up so consistently. The big bright white one is Uriel. Archangel Gabriel is orange. Shamuel, the angel of love, is pink. Michael, mighty Michael, is blue. I take some pictures to capture the moment.